You and I and a whole lot of other people have traveled all over the world, have met the most extraordinary people, gotten to work with incredible people, gotten to design and help build amazing buildings and help change people's minds about all kinds of things because of straw bales? No, really?
30 years ago, I wandered into this strange abandoned motel in the hills of California, and it changed my life. It changed a lot of people's lives. Here's the story. Our story actually begins thousands of years ago. We began settling down here and there and building homes, building schools, building temples, building cities. It was the birth of architecture. We built remarkably well with whatever we could find in the landscape. All the way from the Arctic to the equator, we could find a way to keep ourselves warm and dry. But 200 years ago, suddenly, things changed. We discovered fossil fuels. And all of a sudden, we could build faster, better, cheaper, bigger, more complicated. All sorts of wild stuff. Great. Except, in doing so, we were using all sorts of chemicals we were creating that had never been seen on the planet before and weren't necessarily so good for us. And we were heating up the climate that we depend on.
Fossil fuel-based materials have been essentially getting the benefit of subsidies.
Our homes can be far more toxic than the outer world because of the outgassing of these petrochemical-based products, carpets, linoleums, glues, paints, everything.
We really forfeited our own ability and knowledge and skill sets in providing shelter for ourselves.
Time for a course correction. That'll involve lots of new tech, for sure. That's in the works. But it's also going to involve looking in the rearview mirror and seeing the way we used to build and discovering that a lot of it works. Like, for example, building with plants. That rediscovery is happening all over the world. Like when, 30 years ago, a few dozen strangers gathered in a remote desert valley in California to discuss this wholly new thing, building with bales of straw. Drawn together by curiosity and the brand new internet, email, we could talk to each other. We gathered in an old abandoned motel to drink coffee and watch a rare California snowfall outside and talk about this exciting new possibility in the world. That gathering 30 years ago gave birth to CASBA and many other organizations. Straw bale construction wasn't so much new as undergoing a revival all over the world.
It's a global vision, bioclimatic vision.
In Spain at that time, there was nobody that was working with straw bale. And so between me and a friend of mine, we created the Spanish Straw Building Network in order to promote straw bale building in Spain. People started saying, but where can we learn about it?
While I was overseas, I actually made a lot of strides in terms of actually working through a lot of the engineering and building science issues with straw bale, which, I was ignoring a lot of them in my first attempt, but it's still just at the most primitive level a good building that'll last for 50, 75 years. And there's 1,000-year-old wood structures, so there's no reason that straw bale can't do that as well.
A century earlier, settlers in western Nebraska had applied a deft touch of technology to the meadow grasses that surrounded them with a horse-powered baling machine. Squish them all up, make these big fuzzy blocks, stack them up, and make a wall. Straw bale construction was born, and many of those buildings are still here today, happily occupied. The first decade or so of the straw bale revival was almost entirely owner-built homes in the countryside, as much landscape art as shelter. And they didn't challenge the laws of building physics too much. Soon enough, the gearheads showed up and started sorting out the engineering of straw. Fire, structure, insulation, moisture, the works. And by the early 2000s, we had a pretty good sense of how to work with straw. It was becoming clear that straw would be big. It insulates really well, it has fire and moisture durability like wood, sometimes better, and it's cheap. It's the abundant byproduct of growing our food. And it stores carbon. It stores the carbon that the plant absorbed from the sky while growing. A lot of carbon. If you took the 2 billion tons of straw that the world produces every year and turned it into building products, we would negate the emissions of India or the concrete industry.
Straw is a wonderful building material. First of all, it builds itself by sucking carbon out of the atmosphere, and it can do that in multiple cycles per year.
2.16 billion tons of grain straw are grown globally, worldwide. And that's enough to replace all of the insulation materials. And in doing so, we would offset all of the carbon emissions from transportation. So the potential of this resource as a climate solution is quite real. And if there's anything we humans are going to keep doing on this planet, it's going to be building shelter to meet our needs. And buildings can, and in many ways must, become the Earth's sixth carbon sink.
The stage was set for Straw 2.0, a family of building products made with straw, more compatible with urban architecture than the industrialized construction industry that we have.
You know, the future of business, I think, is waste. I mean, that's a tremendous amount of money to be made with waste. And that's what this is.
And now straw is downtown. Architects are developing new styles and shapes all over the place. And many people and organizations all over the world are developing the codes and standards that underlie modern construction.
We have also done immensely huge logistics center in Holland now with 36,000 square meters. Of that's a lot. Yeah, it's like 550 meters long, you know, and we have walls 30 meters high. It has been a great adventure.
But as it turns out, there's more. In some mysterious way, those funky, fuzzy bales of straw connect people.
That kind of magic of having people engaged. There's something like alchemy where people come together. My analogy is that the difference between a single straw, a piece of straw, and then bringing all those straws together to make a bale, right, is not the same thing at all.
It was just a friend told a friend told a friend, and next thing you know, people would sign up and they'd come multiple times. They come over and over again. They loved helping people. People get so close and they laugh and they work together and that they tell stories and they know they're doing something right.
I've been an engineer for almost 50 years and I've never seen anything like this. Over and over again, people gather together all over the world. Let's do a bale raising this weekend. And they stack bales. It's hard, dirty, dusty work with a bunch of strangers for somebody you probably don't even know. You may even paid for the privilege. And you come away from it with big smiles on your face and new friends. We're rediscovering so much more than a building technology. We're rediscovering a hallowed tradition because for almost all of our history, we built together. It was a fundamental part of community, economy, connecting.
I had an open day just a week ago, and I don't think anyone would come for an open day for mineral bath installation. But I had a full house, and they were enjoying the visible straw and the atmosphere.
We are most able to address big intractable problems, climate problems in particular, in community. And that's what makes our communities resilient, is connections. That happens through working side by side with other people.
You may never get to stack straw bales into a wall or apply earth and plaster with your hands. Though by all means, if you get a chance, take it. But the era of fossil fuel architecture with its polluting and toxic and disposable materials is coming to an end. The next 30 years is not going to be defined by who can design the glassiest tower. It's going to be about who can design and build the most elegant relationship between human beings and the natural environment, shelter without wrecking the planet.
As an architect, we need to question our practices and what kind of environment do we want to create.
So what can you do? Well, for starters, specify and use plant-based building products. Not just straw, there's hemp, there's bamboo, there's wood fiber, there's lots of plant-based building products, bio-based materials coming online that you can use throughout the building instead of the petrochemical and plastic stuff we've been using for the last 100 years. Design for deconstruction. Think about what happens to your building down the road, a few decades down the road, 100 years down the road. Can it be biodegraded if necessary? Can it be recycled? And think of it as a carbon sink, a carbon bank. You build as much carbon into your building, in the walls, in the insulation, in the foundation, so that you're pulling carbon out of the sky instead of putting carbon up into the sky. lead the transition away from just straw bale buildings in the countryside to straw products that can cover an array of things. I hope there will always be bale raising. There will always be a chance to work together with people side by side in the way that we talked about. But we also are going to have panels, blocks, all sorts of things by which straw can become a big part of mainstream architecture, and storing carbon will be the way we do things. That's what we're trying to tell you here. You can be part of that. The basic engineering's worked out, the codes and standards have been written. Instead of doing less harm, how about buildings that do good, that store carbon that we pulled out of the sky? Be part of that. Don't be part of the destruction. Be part of making the world better by the way you build buildings.
I think the only reason that somebody would not want to build with straw is if they can't find somebody willing to design or build it.
We've got a lot of issues happening in the world at the moment that are affecting everybody. And if this is one way that we can provide a positive solution to people's lives, then let's do it. Let's get on with it. You know, it's easy. It's so easy.
We've got to get younger folk on board so they can take it through, because the market's crying out for something that's more sustainable than what the hell we're doing at the moment.
If you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting what you always got. It's definitely time for a course correction. Straw-based, bio-based building is just starting to take off. And you're invited to be part of that story.